feeling so small. Watch the clock ticking off the wall. But tonight I'm letting it go. Spend my coin for sure. I'm gonna be myself, or I could be someone else. No one's stopping me now.
Hi everyone, welcome. If you are new here, I'm so happy to have you. If you are my previous subscribers, welcome. I'm so happy to have you, my little astronaut. So please, if you are new here, please don't forget to hit that bell icon. Don't forget to hit the subscribe button. Don't forget to like this video. It really helps with engagement. And also lets me, the content creator, know whether or not I should make more videos like this. So, and also put that in the comment section below what you think of today's content. So quickly before we do begin, I just want to put this up here. This is being live streamed on July 15, 2021 at 10 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And if you are interested in booking any sort of reading with me, tarot, anything, check the description below. I have that in my website. And here are some quick disclaimers just so you guys know of today's topic so I don't get in trouble by YouTube. There's that. But anyway, besides that, I wanted to also have a little conversation to talk with you. And I wanted to let you guys know that I will not be talking about Donald Trump, the president. It's actually 10:10 Eastern Standard Time right now. And I won't be talking about the president, the former president anymore. After August 13th, so any content, we're going to have a party. We are going to have everything Trump right before the 13th of August. Any question you want to ask, I'll get it covered and straight away. Then after August 13th, we'll have a party celebrating the end of us talking about the Trump reality and everything about Donald Trump, and we'll move on forward. I decided in the midst of this break from the previous video till now that I will still be doing politics. It just won't be heavily condensed as focused on Biden and Donald Trump. It'll just more be like whatever you guys ask. When you request it, I'll make a video on it. If you don't request it, there won't be a video on it. But other than that, I just wanted to let you guys know that so there won't be any Donald Trump anymore. I've been wanting to do this for a long time, since January, but I didn't know where I needed to take my channel, and so I needed more time. So now I know where I want to take my channel, and I have a path forward. And, you know, we'll, of course, be removing Trump slowly next month. So there should be a lot of fun. Hi, Paula. Hi, Death. Hi, Doris. Hi, Julie. What's up, love? Thank you all for coming. Okay, so let's talk about this. Now, this is the first time Earth has gone through this ascension. And, you know, apparently I was going to do this in another video, but I guess I'm going to do it in this video. Let me answer the question for you. So it's a lot of complex things, but let's hope that you were able to understand a little bit more. Thank you. Thank you. Yeah, I'm not saying like they're bad or anything like that. I just want to put that out there. It's just that the energy in a pit card is not necessarily them in the trance. I feel like they're unaware, not the people, but just the energy. So that's the collective as a society, as human. So let's kind of take a quick look. Okay, I'm going to try to get you in to be able to see this. All right, perfect. All right, so let's take a quick question and let's see. Have you gone through the ascension process? And I can almost tell you yes, but I'll explain why. So if you have watched my previous video where I talked about, if you have watched my previous video where I talked about time and concept of time, I'm going to try to explain it to you the best I can, so just kind of stick with me. If you have questions, please ask me, but I recommend you watch the concept of time, the 2 videos, and the death video, and then I'll be talking about God tomorrow. So we have here is we have the timeline, right? This is time, right? Time is a man-made construct. It's an illusion, right? So here you are born. This is you in the present, and this is you in the future, right? Right, birth, present, future, and then, of course, you're going to be dead, right? Because that's what the future holds for you, death, right? Just like all things. In the future, in the past, before you were born, the future was birth. But now the future, since you've been pushed out of your mom, your future is going to be dead. That's like just the long-term short of it. So you might be asking, Chris, what does this have to do with whether or not we are going to go through another ascension just like we did previously? And I'm going to tell you why. Okay, so concept of time is very similar to this. It's happened all at the same exact time. You were born, you were dead, and you never existed. That's how I put it. Right? You might be asking me, Chris, that doesn't make any sense. Well, you see that thing right here. You see that. This is you right now in the present. This is you. I am your birth and you are dead. Okay, you are the future, I am the past, and this is you in the present, right? You can see us simultaneously at the same exact time, right? You are seeing us at the same exact time. So to be able to further understand the concept of extending the process of going further, we need to be able to understand how we got here first and how this all works in terms of intuition, manifestation, and stuff like that. I'm just giving you a little preview so you kind of like have a little background knowledge. Okay, so we have planet Earth, and we have planet Sun, right? The sun. And when the sun emits light rays, it goes to Earth and other planets. It goes outward like a light, like a lantern, right? But the Earth has an ozone layer, a protective field. So sometimes Earth is kind of the ozone layer. It's like wearing a white t-shirt. When you wear a white t-shirt on a hot day, it reflects light. But when you wear black, it absorbs light, right? So the reason for this is that some sunlight goes through the ozone layer into Earth and reflects back out, right? You want to know what that is known as? That is known as light years. That is known as light years. That is awesome because when you travel light years away, no matter how far you travel, you start to see at the time that light year took place and going through the universe, because the universe is infinite, it is going to be able to see at that point in time back at Earth at that point in time period. So, for example, if you wanted to see Earth in 64 million years ago, but you couldn't see dinosaurs, you would go 64 million light years away from Earth, and you will take a telescope and look back at Earth, and you will see dinosaurs. If you wanted to see the Civil War, you would go something 100 years, light years away, and you will look back, and you will see the Civil War happening, because everything is happening. Time is happening at the same exact time. So to be able to make sure they understand this is that although you're not in the physical anymore, you are in the light years, which means that you are able to live out every simulation, every possible possibility, because when you're in this light years, you're able to relive everything, which is why you still have memories, right? You have manifestation. I know I spelled that wrong. Manifestation is the ability to create from thin air because of your emotion, right? Well, you're probably wondering, well, Chris, how did that work? Well, how that work basically is when this goes out outside of Earth, after reflected in these light years, you're no longer in the physical. It means that everything is in those light years. It means that you can manifest everything just with your own mind, right? But also, this is how intuition comes about, right? Intuition, to having the ability to live in every possible simulation, every possible outcome, and because you live in every possible outcome, it's like a computer generation, right? When you take a simulation of what could possibly happen, it generates every possible outcome, capitulates them to a small little microchip, and that is known as your intuition. That is why you feel like you've been somewhere before, like deja vu. That would be the feeling of why you feel as if when it comes to this intuition, how or why you feel like something might be really good or something feels really wrong, or how you know somebody. That is because you met them before. That is because it's happened in the physical, which means in this reality, you might not be on the physical. You might be in something light years away, right? So that, in order to understand all of that first, understand this whole concept, now I want to talk about your question, Doris. So I'm going to bring this question back up just so you kind of know. And if this makes sense, please let me know before I go further. So your question is this the first time Earth has ever gone through the ascension? So this is what I call the butterfly effect. I'm going to show you a little butterfly, right? And I talk about this more in depth on my videos. This is the class that I'll be teaching you guys and stuff like that. So this is known as the butterfly effect. This is what I call it. This is not what science calls it, just so you know. This is, by the way, I'm channeling, just so you guys know that. All right, so we have here, you've probably ever been in art class, and your teacher gives you something quite like this. Just a piece of paper, and this is a square box. And there's already a pre-drawn butterfly, something that looks like this, right? Right, a picture, an image, and they want you to copy whatever this image looks like, right? right? This is a butterfly. This is already a picture that they've given you with the artwork, right? This is your reality. However, in this outcome, you have to draw the finishing part of the butterfly, right? Almost identical to one another, right? Well, whatever happens here, this is the, okay, so for example, at the bottom of this, right, this is time. Let's say this is the timeline right at the bottom, right? Just, do you understand this? Right? So this is you born, present, death, right? But after time has come, there's going to be an end, right? There's going to be an end soon. And the end is the end of time as we speak of it. But there is no such thing as end of time. Because what's going to end up happening is this outcome. You ready? Death. Excuse me. I wrote the wrong letter. Okay, death. Present. Birth. An exact opposite, a reflection. This is the mirror image. This is known as the butterfly mirror, right? My butterfly mirror image. The reason for this is that when there's a copy, there's a duplicate, right? And I'm going to go more deep in why politics relates to this as well, to the ascension process, because once you understand the politics, it might make it a little bit easier for you to understand whether or not we went through this before. So let me show you. Let me make sure you guys are understanding this. Okay, good. I'm glad. All right, so let's take a nice look at everything that happened. So, for example, let's take a look at the election of 2016 and the election of 2020. You can look this up, by the way. So the election of 2016 and the election of 2020, right? Why they are so similar? Okay, so Donald Trump got 306 to Clinton or Hillary 232. Okay, that's the electoral college number, right? It takes 270 to win. In 2020, Biden got 306. Trump got 232. Okay? Well, you're like, Chris, well, what did this have to relate? Okay, first of all, this is in 2016. The rarity of this ever happening, especially back to back, it's rare. 306, 306, 232, 232. This is significant because what this is talking about here is that when Donald Trump won the election in 2016, right? 2016, this is the timeline now, right? Ever since then, everything that happened until Donald Trump left office, which is in 2021, will be repeating under Biden, but reverse. So, to make sense of this, it's going to be like this. 2021 starts when Biden gets inaugurated. And we're going to end up exactly where we left off in 2016. Because what happened is, in 2016, Donald Trump was elected, but he's an anomaly. He's not supposed to actually be there. So the way that time works is time is going to start to erase him by bringing us back to the point that we left off before he was elected president. So the main point is that everything that happened under Donald Trump is going to happen in Biden with flip. So, for example, Donald Trump said in 2018 that there was going to be a caravan in 2018. Well, actually, the caravan is going to actually take place in 2022 under Biden, because whatever happened under Trump, and even if it didn't happen, it's going to happen under Biden. So, for example, the insurrection is going to happen in 2022. 2024 or 2025, something like that. So the main point is that everything's going to happen, but in flip, in reverse. So I hope it makes a little bit more sense now. Does it make more sense now to you guys? Yeah, so exactly, that's playing deja vu. It's the worst, everything happening here. So in 2016, it's going to be in 2024. We're going to feel like as if we were back in 2016. That's how I know the Taliban coming back. That's how I know terrorism is going to be back on the table. Because it's going to feel as if Yeah, when we wake up in 2016, but it's going to be 2024, as if we never had Donald Trump as president or Biden. It will feel as if we just had Obama, because everything that happened in 2012 going into 2016 is what this election is going to feel like in 2024. The same thing. I'm going to go a little bit more in depth with this. I'm glad it makes more sense now, because I was going to do a video on this, but I figured, you know what, I'll just do it now, and then I'll just clip it out and make a separate video of this. Like, it's going to be the same thing, but it's going to be more explained in some form like that. All right, so let's take it back. Let's do your question now, extension. Now you understand everything with the butterfly effect and how time and everything works, right? Well, I was telling one of my clients a couple of days ago, giving her a little VIP access to all this, is that, okay, so Donald Trump was elected, right? This is our timeline. This is our timeline now, right? This is our timeline, okay? But Donald Trump lost in 2020. So now, let's say Donald Trump lost in this reality, but just say Donald Trump won. Okay, that creates another alternate dimension. All right, or another alternate reality. Donald Trump started a coup. He became president. All right, now we have two separate realities than the original timeline, right? So this is our timeline, and here is the two timelines going, right? Kind of think of it like an ancestral tree. Mother, father, child in the middle, right? Kind of same thing. Okay, so now just say, for example, he gets assassinated, and the person who becomes president in our timeline is the same person who takes over, right? So now that crosses our timeline. And it creates another alternate dimension where that timeline is where that person didn't get assassinated. Donald Trump didn't get assassinated. And in this reality, we have another reality going through. Now, also in this outcome, we had Donald Trump started a coup, right? And America becomes a dictatorship, the rise of the GOP, right? It starts to inflict on our timeline. It starts to interfere. And I'm going to show you how this works in a minute. Right, and it creates another one, and it creates another one, and keeps going, kind of very similar, and it keeps intersecting. To make this more clearly, to kind of see it in more clearer terms, I'm going to show you in a graph that looks like this. And just so you know, this is channeling, by the way. So here is the timeline, right? This is our timeline, right? So we just make sure you understand. And this 12 that's going to go in and out is going to be other dimensions. Okay, so the red is dimension A, right? And then blue is going to be dimension C or something. I don't know why C, but that's what I got. C. So now we have here, like a DNA. You see, like a DNA strand. You see that? But every time they intersect with our timeline, creates the Mandela effect. Kind of very similar to the Mandela effect. It creates timeline change in history and going in because it's taking possibilities very close to our timeline. So now let's talk about multi-dimensions, right? Because I'm going to talk about your thing, but in order to properly understand it, I have to go through all the thing first to be able to get to your question. So I hope this makes a little sense. So let's talk about multi-dimensions, for example. So just say this circle is our Earth. This is Earth 1. This is our timeline, right? This is our Earth, right? But in every version of Earth, there's different version of Earth, right? You see this circle? This Earth is related to Earth 1, but has some little differences, minor differences. But as you start to go out and start to expand, the red is more related to the blue than it is to the first one. Kind of very similar like a child, right? After you have the mother and grandfather, great-great-great-grandfather, and the great-great-great-grandmother get together, and as the tree breaks down, the DNA and the strand start to change because it's not as similar as it once was with the grandfather and the grandmother. Kind of the same thing. As you start to get out, each dimension, each reality is different. But the blue one is the most closest identical reality to ours, right? That is how multi-universe works, okay? Just to kind of give you a little idea. And that is how your intuition also works as well, because in these light years, in this multi-universe world, this is how the light years work. You're living in an alternate dimension, very similar to the one of your own, the original. But as you start to go out further, you're living in different timelines, very different than the original, but the one that you lived previously. Almost it feels as if nothing really changed that much, but only minor details. But really, a lot had changed since the original. I hope that makes a little sense. So, getting to your point of whether or not we have lived through the ascension process before, and I'm going to go through this right now. So, here's the timeline now. Now that you have all the information in your hand and you know everything, we have here the birth of Earth, right? The birth of Earth, right? The BE. Let's do that. Then we have the dinosaurs, okay? And then we have humans. Okay, so the Earth was born, we have dinosaurs, then we have humans. But like I said, the butterfly effect is going to happen, which means that if you want to know how the world is going to end, the way that we are going to leave this Earth is exactly how we left it before. So we're going to have the dinosaurs again, and then we're going to have a birth of a new Earth. Very similar to how everything else played out. So, excuse me, I wrote this wrong incorrectly. Excuse me. We have here dinosaurs, then we have the birth of Earth, and then we have humans. And it keeps continuing. It's a continuous stream. It's the infinity, right? It just keeps going, it keeps going, it keeps going, which means that the way we leave Earth in this reality, we're going to leave it off with dinosaurs. Then we're going to come back as humans again. And we're going to keep continuing and keep happening. Almost like it's like a repeating pattern, right? It's like, all right, so the dinosaurs are here, and the humans are here, and we'll just keep going on in a circle, and in a circle, kind of like that. It just keeps happening. So if your question is, have Earth extended? Yes, Earth extended many times before. And we're going to go through this process again. And I'll talk about evolution in another video on how evolution will play a major role in the birth of the dinosaurs again. The dinosaurs are going to come back eventually soon, whether with human interference or not. The dinosaurs are going to be remerged back, and I'll talk about how evolution plays a major role, not only in our human society, but in how the timeline is changed and how that plays a major role in all of that included. So again, that is your question. So that was a lot of information being thrown at you, but I hope it makes all sense here. So what do you guys think so far? Get me some feedback if you can. Give me some feedback. So while I'm waiting for feedback, I'm going to put a nice add-on for you guys to watch. Let's put on this. Have you ever wondered how you can get access or find my social media, my webpage, anything from my Patreon page to my classes, to book a reading with me, whatever you want, and anything that you could possibly think of, including submitting questions? You would go onto my YouTube page, click on the most uploaded or most recent video. You'll click on any of these or the ones that are uploaded as most recent. You will go there. You will go to the description, as in this case. And you can either click on submit your question, video topic, or request here. You can find it there. Or you can go check out through my website, and you can click on this, which is Linktree at Chris. You click on that, and it will take you to my webpage where you can find numerous different links, or it could take you to many different things along with my classes that will be uploaded here as well on my Patreon page. You can book a reading with me. You can submit your question. You can find the most uploaded video. You can go on to my 2 other YouTube channels. You can make a generous donation if you would like, along with joining my Facebook page and Instagram and Twitter as well, of course, if you are interested. So this is how you can find my webpage. If you are interested, let me know in the comment section below what you do think. And I'll return you back to your content. I hope you enjoyed this, and I'll see you guys soon. Bye. Okay, so hi, David. I hope you have a good time at gym. So you're asking, I don't see how the dinosaurs can come back. So I'm going to kind of give you a little brief overview of the evolution process when I get to the topic of evolution. Is that that basically how evolution really works is that dinosaurs and animals, regardless of where you come from, will always have the blueprint for it to happen. This is related to the collective consciousness. Everything is related to one another. So for the collective consciousness, in order to understand how evolution can happen, is I'm going to explain the kind of very similar to this. So if you were to take a group of 100 people and put them in a room, about 10 people out of those 100 are going to have the same business idea. Let's say it's a business class, right? 10 of those people are going to have the same idea. And each one is going to do something different. Some may act upon it, some may just brush it off. One person is going to act upon that, right? And you're like, well, Chris, what does this really relate to the dinosaur or whatnot? Well, the thing is, the collective consciousness, those 10 people all have very similar ideas because they're all connected to the consciousness. Your thoughts are not your thoughts. Those are just thoughts pulling through you, going through you, kind of like a feed. You are like a social media. You're like a app. And thoughts are just going through your head. That's why the ideas of Hitler, if there was no Hitler, there will always be one because the thoughts are there. They're just waiting for somebody to act upon them. So, for example, a good one is the Brontosaurus, which is a long animal, a long dinosaur with a long neck. The closest relative was actually not a relative, I believe, is the giraffe. Right? The giraffe has very similar traits to the Brontosaurus, and that's very interesting because they both share very similar evolutionary traits to reach trees and branches. For example, another great one, the most popular one, the most well-known one, is turtles, for example. Turtles, the turtles that we have in our reality right now, in our timeline, are turtles that are not from the previous era, not from the previous period. They're not related to the old version of turtle. And the reason for this is that another animal, another mammal, took upon themselves because when there is a need, there needs to be a balance, which means that there are turtles always, no matter what timeline you're in. But the species may not be the same. So, for example, the turtles that came from the dinosaur era are not the ones here because they took upon themselves because they had the blueprint to go through the evolutionary process, which means that if you put an alligator back into the seawater in the ocean, it will start to become what you call it? So it's with an owl. It's like a really bad, almost like a long snouted sea turtle, kind of like a whale. Is how whales formed. If you put an alligator in that water, it will form into that. If you were to take a megalodon, the megalodon is going to come back eventually. I know that for sure. The megalodon is all about the evolutionary process. We have the blueprint to improve. So do humans. The difference where humans are is that they're going to have the connection. We may evolve into a more extraterrestrialized being. For example, I've noticed people who actually come from China and Japan, no matter what, even if they were born there and they live in the United States, they look entirely different than the people who actually live in that country, the origin of the country. The reason why it's so significant is that no matter where you live, your origin is going to change how you appear and how you look. The evolutionary process simply happens with your physical body. So you may not realize it because you still have traits very similar to the Chinese or the Japanese, but you're still not going to show very similar traits because you are now American Japanese or Chinese Japanese, and you will look remarkably very different. Even if you had the same bloodline and you kept breeding with people who were Chinese, no matter what, the Chinese baby will still be different than the ones in China. So I hope that makes a little sense now in terms of the blueprint, and I hope that makes a little sense. I'm trying to give you a very snippet of evolution. Oh my God, you have just explained the ending of 2001: A Space Odyssey. The old man dies in space, and the last scene shows a human embryo floating in the universe. That's really interesting. I never watched that movie. I don't have no idea what you're talking about, but I'm assuming it has Sandra Bullock in there. I think. I have no idea. Your illustration not only one to ever get me to fathom what is happening at the end of the movie. That's interesting. I'm glad that it gets you thinking because that's what's really good. I'll be talking about truth and understanding how do you know something is true and how do you know something is not. And actually, my truth may not be your truth. And that's another topic that we're going to get into another reality. So, did you guys show you this information? A lot of my guys actually give me downloads of information. So that is how I'm able to channel a lot of information because they come from the higher power and the higher source. So I'll be giving you guys information, explain them in simpler terms to understand and to be able to comprehend them. So basically how I work is the more complex something is, the more easier it is for me to understand it and to explain it. The more easier it is for you to understand something, the harder it is for me to understand. So the more complex something is, the more easy it is for me to understand. So for example, quantum physics. I can easily tell you the entire full-blown quantum physics without actually having to learn about quantum physics because I'm able to understand the complexities of it without somebody having to actually learn it. I hope that makes a little sense. But yeah, just interesting. It's interesting. It's a lot of information. So I'm gonna leave it here. I am gonna clip this video out though and put it into another video, kind of explaining. So I just have the explanation there, so I can just move on and do the next part. But again, I'll see you guys tomorrow. I do hope you guys enjoy this video. Please don't forget to join me live tomorrow at 3:30 or 3 o'clock, and I will be talking about God, the God, and what I received in terms of divine messages and what that means. It had nothing really to do with it's actually 11:11, by the way, Eastern Standard Time, and it's 11 people. But anyway, it's all about what it means and what God means. I received and I downloaded information. I was like watching something on YouTube, and I was like, what does God mean? I want to know what God means, and they gave me a coded message of what God means. And so I'm going to talk about that, and it's very interesting. So if you guys do like this, don't forget to like this video. Don't forget to subscribe and hit the bell icon. I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye.